Alright, let's try this again. We've got Avengers to assemble. No. Having trouble? You were expecting maybe Mel Blanc? You did this, didn't you? Oh, calm down now. You're already sitting, so have a drink. You're making us both look like a man who takes himself too seriously. What do you want from me, huh? You still don't get it, do you? If you're looking for a rush, you're gonna find it when the Titanic fans descend upon you like a wave. I need you annoying them with your persnickety nitpicking and intimidating everyone else with your video's length. Oh, when I find you, I'm gonna punch you in places you didn't know you had. Yes, it's just too bad you need one of these babies in order to do that. Interdimensional transport's such a bitch on organic materials. We still don't know how you got through, to tell you the absolute truth. But shiny discs come through A-OK. So review Titanic. And review it upright, or you'll be watching Michael Bay movies from here to eternity. Ooh, God. Just the thought. I think I will have that drink. Fine. How would you put it?
Release the Kraken!
Okay, let's do this thing. James Cameron's Titanic is a mediocre movie with some decent special effects that, through several twists of fate and a year-long marketing blitz, managed to become the most financially successful movie of all time. It has its moments of eye-gouging spectacle, but in order to get there, you have to sit through an hour and a half of pointless, redundant, stock, star-crossed lovers
Horseshit!
With no surprises in store for anyone whose lizard brain doesn't automatically form connections with young love forged amidst tragedy. Some movies are spoiled thanks to script leaks, or pieces of the end showing up in the trailers, but this movie was spoiled in its casting, so watching it feels almost as redundant as reviewing it. I guess if you got 3 hours to kill, or someone you love who really, really likes this movie that you don't want to start a pointless fight with, you could do a lot worse. But it'd be better if you just dropped their ass like a hot rock and found someone who can actually tell the difference between a good movie and a bad movie with a good ad campaign. There. Done. Now will you leave me alone? I got Gamera movies I could be watching. Try it. See what happens. You son of a bitch.
Round 2, fight!
Almost everyone's seen this movie multiple times, including me now that I've had to watch it twice more for this review, so I'm not going to go scene by scene. The point is, this movie has a lot of fundamental storytelling problems that could have been easily fixed if James Cameron had bothered to hire a real writer.
These windows are 9 inches thick, and if they go, it's sayonara in 2 microseconds. Alright, enough of that bullshit.
But he didn't. He was too busy rebuilding sections of the ship, or rebuilding the whole ship in miniature, or babysitting the CGI artists in charge of painting the ship around his actors, or trying to drown his actors so he could collect the insurance money.
This is bad.
Turned out to be time well spent, as even heartless bastards like me, who feel nothing but contempt for fake romances between hot people who wouldn't piss on me to put out a fire, can marvel at all of the money, time, effort, money, and money that it went into rebuilding the Titanic just so they could sink it all again. Of course, as with any famous historical disaster, there are some die-hard disaster fans out there who've happily treated this movie to a death by 1,000 cuts. So if you expect me to complain about how the officers have the wrong flashlights, or how the third-class pipe frames have the wrong fittings, or how David Warner's gun is about 14 years ahead of its time, yeah, sorry. That's all deep background. Literally, since this movie lavishes all of its attention on these two, whether we want it to or not. They'll be my primary concern, unfortunately. And I'm not gonna diss the actors. I've gotten pretty sick of irrationally hating on actors anyway. With some exceptions, of course. Actors are hired guns, unless they're stars with gravity wells big enough to warp productions around themselves, and neither DiCaprio nor Winslet had achieved that level in 1997. Though Leonardo came pretty close, thanks to the previous year's smash hit, Romeo and Juliet. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I meant to say William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, which I've always referred to as Baz Luhrmann's William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
A dog of the House of Capulet moves me!
And if you're going to do Romeo and Juliet on the Titanic...
Good morrow, cousin.
Is the day so young?
As James Cameron explicitly said he was going to do when he wrung the money for this out of Fox and Friends.
Sad hours seem long.
Who better to cast than Romeo himself, right?
Alas, that love so gentle in his view should be so tyrannous and rough and proof.
Alas, that love whose view is muffled still should without eyes see pathways to his will.
And even if I didn't know the story of how Titanic got its seed money, the very act of casting Leonardo DiCaprio sends a clearer message than 1,000 Entertainment Weekly or Eye on Film columns. Especially if you were in this movie's target audience in 1997. And no matter how much you may like this flick, you have to admit it's a movie made for really, really, really dumb teenagers.
You're being very rude.
Which is why all the characters are one-dimensional and static, except for Rose, who goes from being suicidal to being not suicidal, in the space of a night. Because Leo loves her. Aww.
This is absurd.
Now that's an epic character arc. Smart teenagers dismissed this movie as a waste of time even before it came out. You don't have to be that old to figure out what leading men do as soon as they hit upon a commercially successful role.
I'll be back.
Every 8-year-old already knows they do the same damn thing all over again.
Shit, that was fast.
So even before Cameron shot frame 1 of this nonsense, we were already battening down our hatches and preparing to fill our cemeteries with hordes of dead Leonardos. There was no point in even seeing this movie. There were already 6 Titanic movies before Cameron even visited the wreck. And hell, when CBS heard about this movie, they cranked out their own made-for-TV version, which premiered just 17 days after Baz Luhrmann's William Shakespeare's Romeo plus Juliet, making it lucky number 7. Now, I've only managed to see 4 of those by the time Cameron's version hit theaters. That was more than enough to get a sense of the boredom to come. Almost all versions of this story start off by reintroducing us to the ship and giving a visual rim job to its many luxurious appointments. They establish some historical characters and then shove them into the background in order to focus on some not-so-historical melodrama, usually involving star-crossed lovers. Maybe they're from different social castes, or maybe they're ex-lovers who rekindle their extramarital affair because they're on a boat.
I'm on a boat! I'm on a boat! Take a good hard look at the mother boat, yeah!
It's like doing it on a waterbed the size of the Atlantic. Aw, yeah. This is old-school producer logic, which calls for filmmakers to crowbar love interests into every damn movie they make, because it'll make more money.
Makes me sore. I go out and sweat blood to make a swell picture, and then the critics and the exhibitors all say, if this picture had love interest, it would gross twice as much.
Because you can't just throw some normal person into an extraordinary situation and expect the audience to care.
She doesn't know why, but it's her he's after.
Did you reach the next girl yet?
No, I keep getting an answer machine.
Pick up that you're there. I'm really scared.
I think that there's somebody after me.
and no one can help her. Except for one man.
What are you, stupid?
Look at it this way, in 100 years, who's gonna care?
Now instead we have to spend the whole movie with Ophelia and Mr. Personality, both of whom are Mary Sues. Now the Mary Sue is a critical concept first codified in the mid-70s by Star Trek fans who were, at that point, desperately reading all the fan fiction they could get their hands on. Typically defined as an authorial self-insertion wish-fulfillment fantasy character with a simplistic cliched backstory who lacks any noticeable flaws. They tend to get in the way of the wish fulfillment, you understand.
Hello, Mr. Anders. Hello, Jack.
Mary Sue stand out most prominently in fan fiction because of their tendency to upstage established franchise characters for the benefit of their author's ego.
Forgive me, but it seems that there are not enough for everyone aboard.
About half, actually. Rose, you miss nothing, do you?
And you will know them by the number of kudos they collect from established franchise characters, just so we, the audience, know how awesome these Mary Sues really are.
You shine up like a new penny.
This pisses me off way more than the surface inaccuracies. This movie's about two things, neither of which have much to do with the Titanic. Again, it's set there, but that could be coincidental for all the effect it really has on the overall plot. Number one, rich people are assholes.
Half the people on this ship are going to die.
Not the better half.
Except for Molly Brown and Thomas Andrews, of course. Number two, Jack Dawson and Rose DeWitt-Bukater are awesome.
When you got nothing to lose.
Yeah, right, because you're so impoverished with your Leo hair and your perfect teeth. Let me see your hands.
Look at this, Court. Here's a gunfighter's hand, and here's a farmer's hand.
I ain't got no farmer's hands.
Just like a rolling stone. So awesome they can pierce the veil of space and time.
Do you know of Dr. Freud, Mr. Ismay? His ideas about the male preoccupation with size might be of particular interest to you.
I'm not going to even talk about their entirely anachronistic and completely unbelievable love affair. These two have exactly two things to discuss. How much Rose's life apparently sucks.
I know what you must be thinking. Poor little rich girl. What does she know about misery?
And how awesome they think each other are.
You have a gift, Jack. You do.
Every single one of their conversations comes back to either of these 2 points sooner or fucking later.
You're the most amazingly, astounding, wonderful woman that I've ever known.
Mostly later.
But I'm too involved now.
In wanting to fuck you. And I don't care, because we never see either of these two do anything. Besides drink, smoke, screw, and give David Warner the finger. No matter what they do, it's not gonna matter, because the boat's gonna sink and they're gonna die. Well, he's gonna die at least. And now I'm remembering why I hated this movie. Because it's boring. And it's boring because it follows the two most boring author avatars ever conceived by the hand of man as they attempt to get it on while trapped on a ship full of Disney villains.
You know, there's nothing I couldn't give you. There's nothing I'd deny you. If you would not deny me.
Hell, Jack even has the Disney-mandated pair of odious comic relief sidekicks. Italian Spice. I am named after an air freshener potheads use. And Tommy McDeadperson.
Oh, forget it, Boyle.
I there am here to insult you for mooning over the first-class girl. I'll have nothing to do with anything until I get shot by the first officer. Who is Scottish, by the way. Thankfully, neither of these two have much time to be the odious comic relief, because that might distract us from how awesome Rose and Jack are.
I felt like I was standing at a great precipice, with no one to pull me back, no one who cared, or even noticed.
Oh, yes, we did. You can't put David Warner in a movie and expect me not to notice him. And who the hell is this guy?
Pretty tough for a valet, this fella. Seems more like a cop.
I think he was.
Oh, well. Such deep character development. He exists because we have to have someone chase our lovers around these massive, massive sets. Fuck, Cameron built him. He's damn well gonna film him. And it wouldn't do to have Cal Hockney running around like a maniac. No, he has to be the foppish sort of bastard who only exerts himself to hit teenage girls, until the very end. A Chris Brown, if you will. Cal exists because we have to have someone to hate, other than everyone involved with the Titanic's construction. Besides Mr. Andrews, of course. That's the most important part of any tragedy, assigning blame. That and filling up your movie with redundant scenes. Hey, did you hear Rose and Jack are awesome?
You're so stupid, Rose. Why did you do that? Why?
And that Cal Hockney, he's a real bastard.
Come on,
Though I don't think we've done enough to establish that quite yet. Maybe if you could do something completely evil.
Please, I have a child!
Other than wear all of that eye makeup, of course. I kid the ghost who walks. He can be decent when he's got a decent idea of what the hell to do with himself, but here it's like he's acting in his own movie, where he's playing Tim Curry.
What did I tell you?
Because apparently we have to have a villain in every movie, and every villain has to act like they stepped right out of the Bond franchise.
You know, I do believe this ship may sink.
So in the end, this movie reduces the sinking of the Titanic to Billy Zane's plot to kill Leonardo DiCaprio before he and Kate Winslet can run off together. So the impact of the sinking itself, which is the only reason anyone goes to these damn things anyway, is hampered by the fact that I have to see it all through the eyes of these two. Which means they have to keep doing stupid things so they can drag us back down into the ship and we can all see more sinking. I wouldn't mind so much if Cameron were consistent about it, but he keeps cutting away whenever he feels like it. Whenever some random crap's falling on the floor. Meanwhile, all the historical characters are up top getting character assassinated because that's what A Night to Remember really needed. Suicides. After all, it's not like First Officer Murdoch had a wife, family, kids, hometown that lionized him after the sinking. Nope, he's dead and nobody really knows how he died, so we can just make shit up. So there's about 10 minutes there in the last half hour I actually enjoy, after the ship breaks in half. And not just because that's where Jack Dawson dies, even though that is welcome. It's because this field of corpses does more to bring home the cataclysmic scale of this tragedy than 1,000 stuttering promises to never let go.
I'll never let go. I promise.
Wait, Mr. Fantastic? Fuck, now I have to hate this part of the movie too. Shit! God damn it. Well, I don't know where he thinks he's going. I'm sure as shit not reviewing Spider-Man 3.